1 year ago, retired Army Brigadier General Mark Kimmitt wrote an opinion piece titled, "What Ukraine Needs to Do in its 2023 Counteroffensive." This is what he wrote in that piece. While Vladimir Putin's forces must be dealt a significant defeat, the purpose isn't merely to reduce the size and strength of his military. The counteroffensive must also send a message to the people of Russia, its military, elites, and Mr. Putin's inner circle that the war is unwinnable. Retired General Mark Kimmitt is joining us now. General, welcome to the show.
Sure.
I read your op-ed. It was written so well. You made so many great points. And that brings me to the first question. Now that the war has hit 2 years, it's been a year since your opinion piece came out. Do you still agree with the statement? What does Ukraine need to do to win this war?
Well, I certainly agree with the statement, but I was flat wrong last year because the Ukrainians were not able to achieve many, if any, of those objectives. And I think this year, as they come out of the wintertime, it will be just as tough, if not tougher, to achieve any kind of success in a counteroffensive. They're very much on the defensive. So candidly, looking at the momentum of the Russians, if they could hold the line this year, I think that would be an achievement at best.
When you say they need to send a clear message, what does that mean, sir?
That's very simple. You saw the pictures of so many Russian families weeping and sobbing because they had to bury their sons. The amount of slaughter that is going on the battlefield is manifold. And once the people in Russia realize that the body bags will not stop, that the war will continue, that the Ukrainians are not willing to stop, we would certainly hope that the people would send a clear message and able to achieve in the dictatorial regime of Putin some change in behavior on the part of the Kremlin in general and Putin in particular.
Robert made a great point, our correspondent earlier, that most of the world thought this war would be over in a matter of days. Ukrainian forces, however, still holding steady. President Biden saying Putin miscalculated badly. He announced more sanctions against Russia. But do you think that's enough, General?
I really don't think it's enough. I think that the momentum is on the side of the Russian forces. I think that looking at a combination of the aid packages and the new equipment that we're going to be giving the Ukrainians, I think it's just going to fall short this year.
I think you made a really good point, because if we look at Russia's economy, it's resilient. It's selling oil to China and India and Brazil. The IMF even said the Russian economy was growing faster than expected. So why hasn't the U.S. taken more aggressive measures, like maybe seizing the $300 billion worth of Russian assets that have been frozen in banks for quite some time now?
Yeah, listen, I've got an article in pre-publication that talks about these very issues. And what I'm most concerned about is not an issue of money. It's not an issue of weapons. It's an issue of time. We can have the House Republican bill passed tomorrow, but it will still be months, if not years, before we can make a dent in the requirements needed by the Ukrainians on artillery. I saw that the Europeans and the UK are dedicating $31 million to more artillery ammunition, but it still needs to be made. And the production facilities are not there to meet the demand. The consumption rates are about 10,000 a day. That's barely what UK will be able to produce in a month.
And General, before we let you go, I do want to talk to you about other foreign policies or other conflicts overseas. We know hostage negotiations are underway right now in Paris. What do you think will come of that when it comes to the Israeli-Gaza war?
I would certainly hope that Hamas recognizes that they're on the losing side. Now, you talk about a war where progress is being made. It's clearly the case that the Israelis are making progress. They have Hamas cornered in Rafah and show no signs of asking for a peace settlement that leaves anything to Hamas or its infrastructure. So again, candidly, I don't think much will come out of this because Netanyahu has demonstrated that he is not willing to stop this war until Hamas is destroyed, the infrastructure is destroyed, and all the hostages are released. And that's still a tough order.
Retired General Mark Kimmitt, we hope you come back, sir, especially when your next opinion piece comes out. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.